This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and this right here is the original source to the clip that you just saw, which was of a bunch of Antifa and members of the Black Bloc having complete free reign to just run around and utterly destroy downtown Montreal. Here we can see they're just burning flags, and there doesn't appear to be a single police in sight. And in case you're wondering why nobody is stopping this violent, aggressive event happening this weekend in Montreal, well, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see, the police were far too busy worrying about the Rolling Thunder protest in Ottawa, the legit, completely peaceful protest where nearly 900 tickets were issued over the weekend, because that's what they were worried about. And as we see here, police arrest several in Canadian capital as bikers parade turns unruly. This is absolutely blatant fake news. So in this video, I'm going to very easily debunk this National Post article that claims that the biker parade had turned unruly, and we're going to cover that and much, much more, guys, in this video. But before we do, I'd ask that you check me out right here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to bring you this information. Here you can do PayPal by clicking there. You can do Bitcoin by clicking on that banner, or other cryptocurrencies by clicking there. You can join me on Subscribestar. It's a great way to sign up for a monthly reoccurring contribution. You can also do that here, which goes directly to me. Or you can send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or if you prefer to keep things old school, you can do cash or checks or equipment, or simply just words of encouragement to my P.O. Box. Links for all that is located in the description below, guys. Thank you to anybody who does contribute to my efforts to bring you this info. All right, now, I want to start with this because this is interesting. This is funny to me how full circle things have come around. This is a video I put out way back in 2013, May Day arrests in the Canadian police state, and I was documenting what happened on May Day in Toronto and Montreal. And as you see here, large protests were underway in both Toronto and Montreal yesterday for International Workers' May Day demonstrations. While the Toronto protests went relatively smoothly, Montreal was another story. 447 people were arrested under the controversial Montreal Public Order Bylaw P6, which makes it illegal to participate in an assembly with a face obscured by a scarf or a mask or a hoodie. And that required protesters to disclose to the police in advance the location and itinerary of their demonstrations. So isn't it funny? Back then, they had Bylaw P6. You cannot wear a mask. You must not wear a mask if you are assembling with one another. And boy, isn't it interesting how far we've come from that. All right, so the last video I put out right before the weekend, leading up to this Rolling Thunder event, I put out this one. And in it, I warned, as you see here in this video, Dan Dix of Press for Truth warns attendees of the event to be on the lookout for agent provocateurs or general bad actors who are intent on disrupting a peaceful demonstration, so that we can counter the bad press that we already know will be coming from the MSM following this weekend's demonstration. So I preemptively warned that there's going to be bad press coming from this, and we need to be able to counter that bad press. And here it is, folks. Police arrest several in Canadian capital as bikers parade turns unruly. Completely false, fake news. So let's get to the crux of it here. Police in the capital, Canadian capital, Ottawa, arrested several people on Friday after a march by hundreds of bikers, pedestrians, and cars, more than hundreds. Cars waving Canadian flags through downtown Ottawa turned unruly, authorities said. Really? All right, well, let's see where this article that has parade turns unruly in its title, let's see where they give some examples here. Friday's parade was a protest against claimed government overreach and came less than 3 months after a truckers' movement paralyzed the capital for more than 3 weeks. Ottawa police said in a tweet on Friday that several people had been arrested and that officers remained on the scene to maintain safety. Really, staying on the scene to maintain safety while this is happening right around the corner. Again, we're going to talk about why certain things are being allowed to happen while others aren't. But let's continue. Organizers on Friday's convoy, which they call Rolling Thunder Ottawa, say they're there in support of freedom and military veterans. Gosh, what an unruly bunch. Local media say several of the participants were in Ottawa during the previous protest, which was against a vaccine mandate for cross-border truckers. Several honking truckers and protesters standing atop of pickup vehicles and cars shouting "Freedom" marched through the downtown core as police deployed additional officers to get the situation under control. All right, it's pretty under control. There are people shouting "Freedom" from their cars. Quite unruly, isn't it? Here, look at this. Ottawa police said in a tweet, several vehicles attempted to occupy a downtown parking lot, though all but one left. Yeah, vehicles attempted to occupy a parking lot. God forbid this unruly mob would even dream of putting their vehicle in a downtown parking lot. This is absolutely insane. Ottawa police, which came under criticism for their handling of February protests, had said they would not allow motor vehicles to stop or park on downtown streets. They had brought in additional personnel to bolster municipal authorities ahead of Friday's march, and that's exactly what ended up happening. They came in from all sorts of different jurisdictions from all over. David Menzoid from Rebel News ended up going down, documenting that they were coming in from all over various places, having a big, huge luncheon here in this auditorium. So they were clearly diverted to Ottawa, which left Montreal, rioters in the Black Bloc complete free rein to tear up the city. In February, the government of Liberal Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked seldom used emergency powers to clear Ottawa protests, and police arrested dozens of people who blocked the downtown core near Parliament. Remember, we're still dealing with this so-called unruly biker parade that happened on the weekend, but they've diverted into talking about the previous convoy for now. A former member of the Canadian Armed Forces, Neil Sherrod, is one of the protest's main organizers for Friday's march. But before we get into that, just talking about the clampdown, in case you didn't see it, I did put out this video back then, Dan Dixon, Ottawa, down but not out, where, this is perhaps one of the most historic protests in the history of the nation's capital. So, of course, Press for Truth is going to be there on the grounds documenting this historic event. Well, I ended up taking a baton to the ribs from the violent arm of the state, and I explained that in this video and showed some of that footage. In case you haven't seen it, you can check it out. Again, links for all this are going to be located in the description below, guys. Former member of the Canadian Armed Forces, Neil Sherrod, is one of the protest's main organizers of Friday's march. In a video posted on YouTube, Sherrod said his plan is to lay a wreath at the National War Memorial in a show of respect for veterans. Such an unruly crowd, isn't it? Again, we haven't seen a single thing so far in this article that would suggest anything was unruly in any way. In fact, the whole thing rolled out exactly how the organizers promised it would. They'd be in, they'd have their say, and they'd be out, and that'd be it. And that's exactly what happened. Meanwhile, the police were focused on that so much, while May Day celebrations, which we've known always descend into chaos in places like Montreal. It's just crazy. Other groups that are participating are protesting more generally against the government and government mandates. Sherrod said he supports any group that wants to fight for freedom of all Canadians because, in his view, freedom of speech was paid for by veterans. The rights and freedoms of Canadians are eroding, and we are going to work to sustain lawful civic action in order to restore those fundamental rights. Again, what is unruly about this? Andrew McGilvray, a member of the Veterans for Freedom group that is also participating, told Reuters, and it ends by saying the events that started Friday are due to end on Sunday. This was just uploaded 43 minutes ago on May 2nd, claiming that the parade turned unruly, and then it doesn't even provide any evidence of the sort, while not even, considering the fact that this was happening just around the corner at the exact same time. It's shocking. And, the actual tickets that were dished out over the Rolling Thunder protests were not because of unruly people. Look at this. The majority of them, as we see here, almost 890 of them, were parking tickets. There were 45 vehicles that were towed, and then there were 10 other tickets for noise, public urination, smoking, and things of that nature. So I'm sure had the police been in Montreal instead of Ottawa, worrying about actual violent, actual demonstrators who are destroying, property and being physically violent with journalists and anybody documenting it, that's not an issue for them. And again, there's a reason why the government turns a blind eye to certain movements and certain protests, why they support some and disagree with others. Mainly, one of the reasons why Justin Trudeau and his government supports Antifa and Black Lives Matter and things like that is because, and Extinction Rebellion and all that stuff, is because those kinds of movements are looking to the government to do something for them. Their whole position is, you need to enact, you need to do better. You need to sign this law so this doesn't happen anymore, or you need to do something for us. Whereas the convoys, the truckers, are just saying, you need to leave us the hell alone. Just leave me alone and let me live my life. That's the difference. So the government and Trudeau has a problem with anybody who wants to be alone. But if you're begging the nanny state for some sort of handout or help, then you are allowed to run free in the streets and do things like we see here this weekend in Montreal. Guys, if you haven't seen my film, Into the Fire, this is where I documented the Black Bloc activity that took place in Toronto in 2010 during the G20 summit, where agent provocateurs were used, disguised as Black Bloc members. I have the entire film here for free on YouTube. It's nearly got 1 million views. That'd be pretty cool if we could get that up to 1 million views on YouTube. This is a film I directed and produced, documenting exactly how all this stuff works. So if you want to have a better understanding of some of the things we're seeing today and what we've seen over the weekend, for example, in Montreal, be able to understand how this is fake news, how they manipulate things. Go back, watch this film. It's probably one of the most important pieces I've ever put together for Press for Truth. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Also, guys, want to remind you to check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate. If you do want to contribute to my efforts here to continuously bring you this information, again, links for all of this stuff is located in the description below. That is all for today, my friends. I want to thank you all so much for watching and continuing to show your support. Please click that thumbs up button and share this one, especially with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And that's all for today, my friends. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming very soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.